Okay, so this is part three of the interview that Peter had with the Hasidic woman. If you missed part one or part two, I'll link it in the description below. If you've watched them, let's just jump into it.
I know many people who are miserable, and
It's a personal decision, really.
right. So that's what I believe strongly.
Wait, how do you define happiness?
Happiness is a contentment from inside. I feel like it's just a oneness with yourself, and feeling whole.
Does your work bring you to happiness? Does it help? I'm sure family
Working?
does.
Yes, working, doing what I love. Makes me feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing down here on this world. I can't be feeling any better. There's no greater feeling in the world than knowing your purpose. You know that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It took me a long time to find.
You know what's funny is I'm listening to her talking, but I'm also listening to the music that's being sung in the background because I'm so used to just listening to Jewish music at this point. I'm listening to the song that's playing and I'm like, wow, that's a very nice song.
Yeah.
Yes. And once you find it, you're like, oh, now I know
Then
what
you
I'm
can
here
go
for.
without sleep and feel fine about it.
Yes, okay. Yes. Right.
Because if you go without sleep doing something yet you hate, life
Right.
is miserable.
Yes, that's true. Oh, that's what you meant. Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Like I can grind hard and not get much sleep, but as long as I'm doing what I love.
Absolutely. That's why they say if you love what you do, you didn't work a day in your life,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right?
I just found it in my 40s.
Wow.
Took me a while.
Yeah. It's okay for me to feel the pride, but I
course.
know where it's coming from. I know that my success is not from me. My success is from God, who has helped me to be successful by giving me the talents that He's given me to help me do what I love.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel alive, you need to be doing that. That is what you were created to do.
Oh, is this some Mordecai Ben David CD here, maybe? And a Barry CD here too? Maybe I might have to come down to New York and pick up some CDs.
If it's not making you feel alive, stop. Stop. You can't live like that.
Which way?
I think where we need to go is that way. Yeah, I think it's that way. So let's go this way. Hi, Rahalaya.
This community is very wealthy in wisdom, in culture, in the beauty of simplicity, I would say. That's what I feel here, the beauty of simplicity.
Yeah.
Like the woman who's a sound designer for you, talking about getting rid of her iPhone and spending more time with her kids.
Yeah.
I think that's, look, I don't have it in me yet to be there, but I admire it.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I also would have it in me. I mean, I've talked about if you go back in like my video log before I started going down this path, there was a video I put up with a woman who made a rotary phone. It was a dumb phone, she called it, or an unsmart phone. And I've actually been really wanting to get one of these, not the one that she's developed in particular, but like a dumb phone, because like I said, I don't have social media. I don't, outside of YouTube, I don't really go on the internet that much. I do text, but I feel like we're starting to lose a lot of the connections. And I've wanted to just go back to a phone that can either just call somebody or text somebody. But all the dumb phones or unsmart phones that allow you to text have the T9 way of texting, which I do not like. And the only ones that I found that have like a proper keyboard are old Blackberries that are not supported by a lot of Canadian mobile networks. So I'm kind of in a standstill. I don't want to get rid of my phone completely, but I have thought about it quite a bit as well.
I admire it.
I don't have it in me yet to be there either. I have a smartphone.
But I look at it honestly, in the world we're in right now, I look at it as someone that's like pushed up a level of enlightenment, if they can get to that level where they don't have to be distracted where they can focus their attention easier on the more important things.
Right.
This is easy. This is pure dopamine. It's a little drug.
It is.
Right?
It is. It absolutely is. I know this because I sometimes find myself aimlessly reaching for my phone to look at it. I don't even realize that I'm doing it. It's like, and then I'm upset at myself. Well, what are you doing? Where were you going?
That's something the world can learn from the Hasidic community, the modern world, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious our phones aren't if you're doing the aimless staring, it's not making your life better.
This is my whole connection to the outside world. Other than that, I'm living in a cave, in a very cozy cave.
You call this neighborhood a cave?
I live...
Borough Heights. Or what? We're in
Borough Park.
Borough Park, yes.
Okay.
Crown Heights, Borough Park.
It's a cave. It's a very comfortable, cozy cave where things are sure that we are able to stay insular and stay insulated, even in such a metropolis of totally different culture than ours.
Yeah. So one theme I've heard come up time and time again is many in the Hasidic community don't like the cameras in here because typically it means that something negative is going to happen, right? Some negative slant, some angle. Why do you think that is? What's the reasoning behind that? Of course there are bad stories, there are bad things that happen and
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a little a kind of a low ball of a question. Like, I'm sure Peter at this point could kind of get the answer, but I'm sure he's interested in hearing her particular answer. So
community.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of those, but people are scared to be on camera with me a lot of times because they're like, what are my intentions?
Right.
Am I going to show how, behind or uneducated or whatever it might be?
Exactly that is exactly, you just said it. You just said it.
Okay.
Basically, our community has seen way too much negative exposure about our community. And so, nobody's being too eager to, to speak openly to the cameras.
But on that same kind of breath, wouldn't you think that people would want to reach out and not to have not to prove something to the world, but also to be like, hey, listen, there's this that you've seen and there's also this. And I think that's what Yoni was trying to do with his videos. And obviously Peter, but Peter's not of a Jewish or Hasidic background. So I do like that Yoni's trying to do that to help kind of promote a positive outlook, a positive spin, an educational spin on it. And Peter also, is doing that while educating himself, which is nice. But as much as, she's talking about how a lot of the media and stuff that's been put out there is negative, I think there should equally be the same amount of media put out that is positive, but it might be easier said than done. I don't know. We've talked about it again. A lot more people tend to drift or sway to the negative aspect. Even if you had 10 positive things and one negative thing, they'd be like, well, that negative thing, and then they kind of paint a broader picture, I guess, but I don't think that means you don't still try.
Mm-hmm.
I had a professor once asked me, a professor at School of Visual Arts.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me,
Professor X? that brings me back to X-Men over there.
why is it that your community doesn't care what the world thinks about them? Why is it that they don't want to be open to speaking to people? I said, we do, but no matter what we do, no matter what we say, it'll always be misconstrued and turned around. We feel like people that want to hate will hate.
Okay.
And we're just very, very wary of
It's an
media
abuse.
exposure.
It's an abusive relationship, right?
Okay, so that kind of answers what I just said, but I still also think that you should still continue regardless. But again, like I said, easier said than done, for sure, for sure.
Do you want to go back for more abuse?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So I feel that the reason I'm comfortable with speaking to the camera is because I feel like it is important for people to know that if you seen or heard anything about the community that was negative. It's possible that that is true and it exists, but
Yeah.
it's not okay to classify the whole community
Right.
as a whole, and that is what the community is.
It's an easy, cheap label.
Right.
It's, if you don't want to think, you can do that, I guess.
Right.
But it's, the sad thing is, major news outlets, that's their prerogative too. And these are supposedly educated people running these.
Well, that's because that's a kind of a clickbaity thing. You know, it can, you say some salacious headline, it brings more attention to your paper or to your website or your news article, whatever the case may be. You know, it's a terrible system and it's built on the wrong ideals and morals, but especially in a world today where newspapers aren't really a thing, at least in Toronto, I don't see any newspaper stands or newspaper boxes anywhere now. Everything's online. So if you need to get people to come to your website, you got to have some flashy or some catchy kind of headline, and people are like, oh, what's this article about? And then they click it, and it's just a waste of time.
Well, I didn't know. I think of Hasidim. You know, Hasidic Jews are Hasidic Jews, like one label, right? They are like this, they dress like this, they think like this. And you're showing me that, okay, there are different levels, spectrums within that category.
Absolutely.
And so you're doing your filmmaking, you're living the life you are, you're dressing the way you are. There are some that won't be doing this. They'll be much more conservative.
Right.
They will not be on a camera with me, no way.
No, they won't.
They're not going to be walking around
No,
with
they
a man.
No.
I respect all of that. I'm not here to judge and tell what's right or what's wrong. But I think the audience should know, again, the theme I always say, it's way more complicated and full of gray zone than a black and white existence.
Exactly.
You know, this actually reminds me of not too long ago, actually maybe like 3-4 years ago, I used to do quite a bit of work at like Wilson and Avenue area, and I didn't realize at the time, but there was quite a large, maybe like a little pocket there, like a Jewish community. I know the further, I guess you went down Wilson, it was a little bit more, but it was like, there was an Israeli congregation there. There was a temple, I think it was a temple of Zion, maybe. But one street in particular, it was like Burncrest or McGilvery and Falkirk, I think. In those streets, they had like, I think the most dense Jewish section of the area that I was working at the time. And I had to do some work where I had to approach a house and, you know, talk to some of the customers. Sometimes there's people there, and I would see like, you know, the women outside, and, you know, I'd walk up to the house and instantly they'd run inside or they'd close the door on me. And I'd be like, oh, that's strange. Like, she knows I'm coming up, or, you know, maybe I have something to say, but she just ran off. Or, you know, there'd be a man who I knew wasn't in that house, but he would come over from another house and he would like talk to me in regards to what I was, you know, there for. And I thought it was a little bit interesting, and I was like, at the time I thought it was very strange, but, you know, then now I'm starting to learn all these little ins and outs of the thing. And so, yeah, I definitely understand what he's saying. Like, you have it one way in your head, but then as you learn more, you start to realize, oh, she's not trying to be rude to me. It's just, she won't really interact with another male or with males, kind of thing. So yeah, I thought that was very fascinating. No, it just clicked again once I was starting to watch this.
Even in this subgroup of Judaism, there are many subgroups within that.
Absolutely. Just like in any other community, we have our ups and downs, and we have things that we need to fix, and we have things that are beautiful, and we have things that...
What would be the biggest thing you think you need to fix? You can take it any way you want.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that. So, I feel like a lot of things that our community is afraid to talk about and afraid to discuss that the community itself needs to fix for the community. They don't
Okay.
have to fix it for the whole world.
Gotcha.
They just have to fix it for the community because they're so busy hiding it that people aren't getting help.
Okay.
So I love to with my films, I like to always open up a topic that is a little sticky or not spoken about, and use that as a way to change things in the community. Let's talk about it. It's time
Like
to talk about it.
a physically challenged woman marrying, right?
Exactly.
That's one of your big themes.
Yes. So
And having a kid.
absolutely. And the movie that I'm doing now is about a woman that's suffering from anxiety and depression, and she's not getting help because she doesn't want anyone to know about it.
Okay.
It's important, maybe.
Yeah, but I feel like that's actually quite a common theme, especially these days. I always hear so many people like it's all hush hush, or you know, let's not talk about it, or so and so is getting help, but they don't want other people to know. I think if you need help, you need help. It's you shouldn't be ashamed about it. I personally, I don't think I understand fully the amount of depression and anxiety there is in the world because I myself don't have it, and I can't see what can be so anxiety inducing, especially these kids, like these young kids, like 18, 19, even younger, some of them 14. They're already got so much anxiety and the depression, and they're like they're seeing therapists and taking medication. I'm like, you're so young, like you have nothing really to worry about. You just got to live your life. I don't know why you're so anxious. And then they just spiral, and then they get into more, they get older and they're just a wreck. And you know, thankfully I've never had to deal with that, and I empathize, but it's also kind of hard to do so because I just can't. I don't know. I just can't see it, but that's just me. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm just saying I don't understand how it's such a prevalent thing.
Maybe not to broadcast it to the whole world. I get that. But
Yeah.
still, if you're not going to get help, that's not what God wants. Our community is very careful about, not saying a lot of things because they're afraid of what people will think. There's a lot of stigmas in the community that need to be broken within the community. I'm not
Okay.
talking about what the rest of the world thinks about us. That's one topic of discussion. Talking about in the community itself, people are a lot afraid to do certain things. Are okay to do. It's just not accepted in the community because
Right.
of what will the community think about that. And it's okay, except for when it then can cause harm. I feel like we just need to open discussion. Let's talk about things. Let's open discussion.
Well, that's awesome. To be continued. So I think the next part is this one where he goes actually into the wig store, and maybe there's other things part of that. Man, Peter does such a good job with these videos. I'm interested also to see him with some of the other cultures. Like here I see he has got like an Amish video, and I think there was one where he was in Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. Like I really enjoy this like deep dive and exploration into different cultures and stuff. Um but anyways, that'll conclude this three-parter of this episode, or this video I should say. We probably will watch The Lifestyle of the Hasidic Woman after this. And yeah, you guys let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought about this, what I had to say, what they had to say. If there's anything you disagree, agree, want to add in, please do. I think we're almost at like 4,500 subs again already. We got to do something big if we hit the 5,000, I'm sure. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks so much.